Hello and welcome to another edition, episode 2, I think, of officially POP After Dark. I'm Nick.
And I'm Craig.
Yes, just the two of us.
Sitting naked in the sand, just the two of us.
Oh, that is a picture I would frame, then laminate, and then blow up onto a canvas.
Do you know what would make that picture perfect? If in the middle of us, naked in the sand, you put Adam Sultana from America in the middle.
You mean Adam Sultana from the Grim Grinning Gays?
Yeah.
And the podcasts are available.
So we're all naked. It's a bright sunny day. There's not a cloud in the sky. The sky is blue. The beach is beachy colour. The sea is green. You are milk bottle white. Adam Sultana is coffee coloured. And I am milk bottle white. Photograph. United Colours of Benetton there. World peace.
Or beached whales. Milk bottle white, did you say?
Yeah.
Is that Amanda's brother?
We'll
have to ask her. Milk bottle white. It could be.
Yeah. Oh God, it's going to be one of them shows.
One of every show. So we start off on POP After Dark, a little bit like we do on Dis After Dark, with a round of what we're drinking. Craig?
Yeah. Orange squash. Some of us have got to go and shift some rubble outside Lime Street Station tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. It's not really the podcast to talk about it. I mean, it's not train stations after dark, but that's relevant to about 5 people that listen to this. We're going to play a game of Guess What I'm Drinking, okay? Because I'm going to open it now. Okay, now I will give you a clue. It's nothing like what I normally drink. So if I'm not drinking beer, I'm drinking something soft. It's normally the same drink. This is not that. So, do you want to play a game of Guess What I'm Drinking?
Well, it's usually Cherry Pepsi Max.
So it's not that.
Cherry Pepsi Coke.
No.
Sprite.
No, I'll give you another clue. It comes in a slightly larger can.
Oh, Monster.
All very close.
Minster.
Yeah, Minster. It's the slightly camper version of Monster. No, I'm drinking a Relentless Zero.
I don't know what that is. I'm too old now.
It's the same as Monster, or what's the other one?
Why are you drinking that now? It's 8 o'clock at night.
It is 8 o'clock at night. The reason why, Craig, and not that anyone that listens to this podcast will actually care, but this is podcast number 4 I've recorded this week. And we did Double Bubble on Dis After Dark, the second episode to be released probably over the weekend. So I'm tired, man. And work has been very stressful for me this week.
Okay, right, let's assess tired. What time did you get up, wee man, today?
Okay, I got up today at 9:15.
Okay, what time did you go to bed?
About 3:30.
That's crazy son of a bitch. Okay, so 3:30.
Yeah.
I got out of bed at 3:10.
Oh, we're like ships in the night, Craig.
We're like 2 little shits in the night.
And as we get older, you probably would have to get up to take a shit in the night as well.
Oh, that would be, because you've got to be really spot on there about wiping your ass, haven't you?
Well, this isn't where I wanted the podcast to turn, but are you a folder or a scruncher?
What? Oh, toilet paper. Oh, scrunch.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
But I also like to bathe my arse as well with a bit of wet toilet paper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the moist toilet paper. Yeah. Bit of aloe vera. Vera. Now, what I learnt the other week, I was on a Facebook group, very controversial Facebook group, and
shitting.
No, but the topic came up, and what happened was this woman was having a conversation with a husband or boyfriend, I can't remember who it was, and she said
in the Facebook group.
No. Like she put this in after, so they'd had this conversation at home, and then she put it into this group.
Okay.
And the conversation basically was they were talking about going to the toilet and whether they fold or scrunch. And then it came about checking to know when he's done. And she said, I've never known anyone look at the toilet paper when you're wiping. Now, quite rightly, she got absolutely ridiculed.
Oh, shitty ass.
Well, how would you not know? It's not like there's an alarm that says you're now clean, is there?
Your ring is now ready for inspection.
Yeah. And also, you don't want to, because on the very rare occasion, you might get what one of my ex-Polish girlfriends referred to as an angel wipe, which is where there is no mess at all.
Oh, the tapered end.
Now, when that happens, I mean, if you do that and you're not looking at what's going on, how many times do you wipe your arse unnecessarily before thinking you're clean? Madness.
I love it when you do like a 2-foot long jobby. It slides right out over your G-spot. You're like that. And then you feel the tapered end leave your body. And you just do a cautioning wipe. And away you go.
That's it.
Oh.
You have to check, though.
Well, other forms of shitting are available.
Yes, and at this point, other podcasts are available because I'm sure people are turning out in their droves. So this is Pop After Dark. We do have a topic. We teased it on the last show, the last Pop. On the last Dis After Dark, we actually teased a future Pop After Dark with Mr. Ripley. I think he's going to come on and guest with us on that one.
On the bonds.
The bonds. Not the Brook bonds.
Well, just going back to the Universal After Dark that I've just consumed this week, that I was no part of. I've got a McDonald's story from America.
McDonald's from America.
Yeah. So that's my follow-on song. So it's 2001. We've got Kerry's 11-year-old cousin with us for 2 weeks, which is bizarre, isn't it? They let us take their son away for 2 weeks, but whatever, they mustn't have liked him. They went to Italy, the cheeky bastards.
Well, hang on. So it's not a case of we can't take our son away or we can't afford to go. So if you wouldn't mind taking him, that'd be lovely. It was a case of you take him away for 2 weeks, we're going on our own holiday.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Yeah. So they give us some money for his food, so we fed him in McDonald's.
That's ultimately a good year special.
Yeah. That is a good year special. Well, he doesn't even send his kid anywhere. He just leaves him in the caravan where he lives on the gypsy farm. But anyway, so we go to McDonald's drive-through, and I says he was a fussy little bastard. So it was like, I don't want no relish on my burger. Okay. Who
talks like that? I don't want any relish on my burger.
A kid from Liverpool who's been brought up on American telly. So we used to take out the garbage.
Oh.
You know, one of them. So
Yeah.
I don't want no relish on my burger. Excuse me, have you got a Happy Meal, please? With no relish on the burger. Let me get that straight. You don't want no relish on the burger? No. No relish on the burger. So you don't want no relish on the burger? Yeah, that's correct. No relish on the burger. I don't understand what you're saying, sir. You're saying you don't want no relish on the burger? Drive round, please. So we drove round. And she goes, you don't want no relish on the burger? Yes, no relish on the burger. You know, no tomato sauce. Oh, you don't want no ketchup on your burger. Where we come from, relish is meat.
Huh?
That's what I did.
Well, I mean, the thing is, right, so, because I'll kind of, like, pick you up on something there. So, like, to me, relish is a thing, right? So when you said about he asked for no relish, that's why I kind of, like, got my back up a little bit, because relish is a type of sauce. To me, it's not ketchup, it's not mustard, it's not onions. They are condiments. They are separate condiments. But you can get like a onion relish or a gherkin relish.
Yeah.
So that in itself didn't make too much sense. But relish as meat, we'll have to get Adam Sultana's on, and he can try and explain that one to us. I did love, by the way, talking about fast food places, I did love his video today of him getting a croissant, which, not just because it was quite funny, but my actual highlight, I laughed a few times out loud, but the time I laughed the hardest was when he took a bite out of it, and I don't care what he said, I reckon he got a bit of rapper.
Yeah, he did what I did a few years ago with the hot dog.
Yeah, he took inspiration from your story.
Yeah, definitely. He's had a few of them croissant sandwiches, hasn't he? Hey. Come on, Sultana, get with it, lad.
But what I did appreciate is that nobody has tried to explain or defend the McGriddle. Like, everyone knows it's just filth.
Do you reckon we could be like our little, like Dance Monkey Dance? So we could literally say, go and try McGriddle for us and video it. We could lead our lives through him now in America. He could be our little puppet.
I'd love to, but I don't think he'll take the bait.
Go and have a McGriddle. You've done the worst. You've had a whatever it was, croissant sandwich.
Yeah.
We're talking directly to you in your ears now, Adam Sultana, coming in your ears from Ingley. What does he call us? The Ingleys?
Ingleys, yeah.
Yeah, slap his little ass.
Oh, man. I still remember when he was on Dis After Dark. I've recorded that one in the garden. That was a good one. Oh, recording in the garden. Those were the days when I didn't have a house.
I want to get Adam back on. I want Adam on PoP After Dark. Come on, Adam.
Yeah, you can. We should. You know what? We should get him on. We should get him to go to a load of fast food places on the way to recording, and he can just sit there eating various crap fast food.
Yeah.
America does some very good fast food, but it also does some real crap stuff as well. When you said about McDonald's earlier, I thought you were going to talk about the breaking news that happened today.
Oh, Amanda's broke it. I've got another McDonald's story, actually, but go on, yeah. Amanda's broke it.
Yeah. So, because, I mean, the thing is, so I live in an area where we've got Burger King that delivers. I mentioned it on Universal After Dark the other day.
It does livers?
It delivers.
Oh, it does livers.
Yeah. Not does livers, that's the Brazilian barbecue place, they do livers. But I've never done it because you have to buy like 20 quid's worth of food or something. But there's only a few Burger Kings that do it, but it sounds like this McDonald's delivery service they're going to be rolling out this year is actually going to be all over the place.
Like, that's bizarre. How lazy do you have to be that you can't get off your fat swollen ass to go out of your council house, to walk across the road?
Other houses are available.
To walk across the road 30 feet, because there's a McDonald's every 60 feet in England now because of Brexit.
No. I will stop you there and tell you my tale of woe. So I'm very lucky, I think, in a sad way, that I'm within walking distance to a Taco Bell, right? And there's not many of those in the UK. But where the Taco Bell is where the McDonald's is, and that's in a shopping centre. Now, for some unknown reason to me, I cannot fathom this out. I live in quite
affluent.
No, I wouldn't say that, but a fairly large town. We've got a big town centre where I live, and the shopping centre and the main shopping area by the shopping centre, everything closes at 6 o'clock at night.
Going forward, in my head, you live in Crinkly Bottom.
Well, me and Ripley have been to Crinkly Bottom, but no.
And you've both got Crinkly Bottom.
We have. That's what happens. You go to Crinkly Bottom, you end up getting in Crinkly Bottom. You might have to Google that, American listeners. So that's it. So the thing is, after 6 o'clock at night, I can't go to Taco Bell. I can't go to McDonald's. I can't go to Burger King. Now, we have another Burger King, the one that delivers. That is just over 1 mile away from the house. I have to walk down a busy road, but I can get there. The nearest McDonald's that's open is just over 2 miles to walk to get to. So where I live, unless you've got a car, you're not getting it. And forget KFC, the nearest KFC is about a 4.5 mile walk on a retail park. I mean, those other two are on retail parks as well, but this one is on an A road. So you can't even walk to it. You'd only be able to get there by a vehicle. So, yeah, we're not all as lucky as you. Being able to walk to McDonald's.
Okay, I'll concede. But anyway, here's my other McDonald's story. So when I was a scally, yeah.
When?
I've just got my job on the railway. So this is like 95. And me, Steve Harrison, and Charlie Stubbs, God rest his soul, great man, passed away last year, cousin of Alan Stubbs, the footballer. Yeah. I was a lovely man. Anyway, we used to go on an annual pilgrimage to London on our free travel, because we were all British Rail at that point, and get bladdered and then get the last train home. So it was around the time where it was buy one, get one free in McDonald's. Right? Mm-hmm. And do you remember when the cheeseburger was the same price as the hamburger?
Yeah.
So I handed over, they were 99p each these, I handed over £6 and I bought 3 cheeseburgers and 3 hamburgers, and it was buy one, get one free. So I ate 12 burgers, bladdered.
Now, I mean, if they were sliders, I could get that, because sliders are small burgers. And whilst a McDonald's ham or cheeseburger are not particularly massive, they're not that small either. So to eat 12 of them, that's pretty good going. Yeah. Or bad going, depending on how you look at things. But
So Adam Sultana, unless you're some sort of bitch, I want to see you eat 13 burgers.
Yeah, but he's not getting buy one, get one free.
Oh, yeah. Burgers in America, you get free with a friggin' tin of fizzy pop.
You know what? It's not even funny. We looked at a place last night in Vegas. My friend's going to Vegas, and we were talking about places he may not have seen before. And I mentioned to him about the Heart Attack Grill. And I don't know if you've heard of the Heart Attack Grill.
I think so.
Well, you get served by nurses in skimpy outfits. It's a little bit like Hooters crossed with a hospital. And the burgers, I mean, they're absolute filth. Absolute filth. Like, you're looking at over a day's worth of calories in some of their burgers because of like what they put in it and the amount of burger you get and all this. Now, the rules are, if you weigh over 300 pounds, you get to eat for free every day. And when you go in the restaurant, they weigh you. And if you don't weigh 300 pounds or more, you will get served, but you'll have to pay. If you go on the scales and weigh more than 300 pounds, your food is free. You still have to buy your drink, but your food is free, and you can go. That's like every day you can do that.
That's ridiculous.
That's America. Well, that's the Heart Attack Grill. That's not America in general, but wonder why they have quite a lot of obese people. Things like that, where you're basically being encouraged to stay fat so you can get free food.
What a way to go.
Madness. Although saying that, if he was a wrestler, if he was like a Hulk Hogan,
yeah, we're
not going to play another game of reanimated corpse or a live wrestler, but, if he was a wrestler, you could weigh over 300 pounds anyway. It didn't say there was a rule of how you're actually that weight, whether it's muscle or fat, but there you go. Yeah.
I want to get Billy back on as well, Billy Kirkwood.
Yeah. I don't think he listens to this one, but I think I'm going to reach out to Billy and see if he still likes us. He might have got a bit too famous now to go on our little podcast, but we can always reach out to him.
I don't think so. We're like the biggest podcast in the UK at the moment.
We are the biggest Disney podcast in the UK, but he's now a morning DJ.
Is he?
As well as stand-up comedian, as well as ring announcer. Oh yeah, he's a jack of all trades.
What, on Radio Dundee?
No, you're thinking of Crocodile Dundee. That's a separate thing. No, I'm not sure. It's like it might be Radio Air or something. I can't remember where he's based. It's a Scottish station, but yeah. And I'd love to listen to it because he swears a lot. So him doing a breakfast show must be hilarious because he's probably just constantly biting his tongue, not saying the things that he wants to say. But yeah, if you listen to this, Billy, come on. What's the worst? So 12 cheeseburgers and a sitting. I think the worst I've done would probably be at the Colonel when I've gone to salute the Colonel. I do love KFC.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean I've gone a bit crazy sometimes. I remember once we had a blowout.
I'll beat you. Go on.
We had a fat week, and I think we went through a 14-piece bucket, which is 14 bits of chicken, about 6 hot wings, about 4 fries, and I must have had that night about 5 bits of chicken, hot wings, sides, probably beans or gravy. I don't do the others, and 2 bags of chips. Yeah. Having a problem that week.
When we're in America, 2001, with the 11-year-old cousin, can we go to KFC? Yeah, we'll go to KFC. So he goes in, what do you want, Adam? Come on, what do you want? And I'm thinking a little burger or whatever. Can we have that family bucket there? Bearing in mind there's 3 of us. 18 pieces of chicken. Adam, we're not going to eat 18 pieces of chicken. I love chicken. Well, you might love chicken, but you're not going to eat that amount of chicken. I know, yeah, but I love chicken. It's only 18 pieces of chicken between the 3 of us. Kerry, my wife, is like, I'm not eating chicken off the bone. I ate chicken off the bone. I'm having a chicken burger.
Oh, no.
So at this point, there's me and an 11-year-old with 18 pieces of chicken. Right, and over there you get biscuits and all that shite, don't you?
Oh, fucking biscuits.
And gravy and barbecue beans. So we're in the car. Adam ate 3 pieces of chicken. The big fella did 15 pieces of chicken in.
Oh.
And some of the mash, because you get a tub of mash as well in America, mashed potato.
Yep.
And I ate the barbecue beans for my breakfast the next morning.
Well, I have learned actually a very good thing. If you get KFC or other fried chicken, and you want some for leftovers because you're not going to eat it all because you're not a massive pig anymore, but a bucket's still good value. If you obviously let it cool down, stick it in the fridge. Once it's cooled down, keep it in a container. When you want to reheat it, put it in a brown paper bag, like you would get in from a KFC or that anyway. But you can buy obviously brown paper bags for your lunches, whatever. Put it in a brown paper bag and put it in the oven for about 25 minutes, and it crisps back up again. But it also like goes sucking again as well. So yeah, you've got to do it. Make sure it's cooked all the way through, people. Temperature. And actually, you know what? I remembered the worst time at McDonald's for me was when I was with a girl at the time, going out with a girl, and we decided we'd do the 20 nugget challenge.
Bit of a player, you aren't you, lad? Polish bird, my wife, little bird, yeah.
Yeah, little bird. This is when I was about 17, 18. So we had high metabolisms at that age. So, like food just goes through you. So we decided to do a 20 nugget challenge each. So we got 2 boxes of 20 nuggets because that's the big one you can buy, and if a good selection of dips as well. We don't get the same dips as America, by the way. So anyone listening in America, we only get sweet and sour, sweet curry, barbecue, and ketchup. We don't get any honey mustard or anything nice like that. Just no ranch.
Don't get mayo even, do we?
No, not at McDonald's. No mayo. No, unless it's a chicken burger, but you don't get mayo as a sauce. So we did a 20 nugget challenge. She gave up after 6 for some reason. I don't know, maybe she had chips or something. So I ended up eating the rest, so that was 34 nuggets.
Oh.
Yeah. But that was easily done. Back in the day, they were good. They're not so good now.
There was no chicken in them back in the day.
That's what I mean. Like, it was like chicken feet and stuff, and now it's like chicken breast, and it's boring. Anyway, we could probably talk about fast food the entire show, but that wasn't what we planned to do. Although I will just say now, because this could be advanced news. We could be the first podcast in the UK to report it, because there are rumours that
Elvis
KFC,
is dead.
No, there's a bloke down in chip shop that swears he's Elvis. That KFC in the UK, which, by the way, far superior to the American ones, as I mentioned the other day as well, are going to release in the UK for the first time
an album.
Chizza.
What the?
Yeah.
What?
So Chizza is a chicken, like, I don't know if it's a chicken burger, like the chicken fillet burger, but it's a piece of chicken that's coated, that's made flat, and then covered in pizza topping. So the chicken burger is like a base, and the top of it's like a pizza.
Okay.
It's popular over in China and Malaysia and across Asia, and it's just hit France as well, which is why they think it's next. So around May is when that's expected to land in the UK KFC. So if it does, you heard it on POP After Dark first.
And Adam Sultana, we want you to go and eat one right now.
He'll be eating double downs as he does this. Right. So, yes, what we were talking about, so getting back on topic for the first time this show, you brought up something you wanted to talk about from the past.
Just game consoles, like we did all that, didn't we?
We did.
It was in one of our beta shows. You have to go to the Dis After Dark feed to find it. We might bring them over when we get a chance onto this feed, relaunch them, but we probably won't. I don't know. I don't care. But handheld consoles. I just thought a nice little trip down memory lane.
Well, it's where most people started, isn't it? Not everyone started with a Master System or a Nintendo Entertainment System or a 2600. It was normally a handheld first.
Now, I've only had a few, maybe 6 that I can, remember anyway. But it surprised me just how old I am. Because
I think you needed to look at those to realise how old you are.
Well, the first 2 of them come out in the 70s. 1979.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that absolutely scared the bejesus out of me. Now, to play one of these was an absolute treat, because these, you run the batteries out, you had to go and buy some new batteries. So there was a likelihood you'd get your arse smacked for running the batteries out, and you had to. It wasn't like everyone in the house had one, like now where everyone's got an iPhone or an iPad. There was one for the family, so you all had to share.
And there was no pound shops back then, so you had to pay proper money for a battery.
Yeah. So the earliest thing that I can remember, handheld-wise, was the Microvision, which was in our family home, and it was the Milton Bradbury Company. November.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, it come out in November '79, and it was gone by '81. It went under by '81, and they only brought out about 12 games, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Blockbuster, which we had, Connect 4, which we had, and C-Duel, which we had. We didn't have any of the others, but the C-Duel was battleships, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Connect 4 is what it is, and Blockbuster is Breakout clone.
Yeah, so that's the old bat and ball against the bricks. Yeah.
Yeah. And you used to sit on for hours and play that, and the screen used to actually clip off, So it was a cartridge-based game system before anybody else was doing it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And the other one from that year, 79, was Pac-Man.
Yeah, not as a handheld, but you mean as an arcade game?
No, as a handheld.
Oh.
Yeah, I've sent you the pictures before. It was yellow. Let's have a look who produced it. It was a company called Futuretronics. Futuretronics. And again, this was a handheld, and it was literally one game.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah, okay.
And you ran through the tunnels, you had your power, you had the ghosts coming after you. And again, it was such a treat to get that out and be able to play on it.
I mean, it looks terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at it now. It looks terrible.
It was. But you used to play it and you used to get the high score. And it had 2 game modes. I can't remember what the other game mode was, but it was just obviously Pac-Man, but it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal gaming. You just wouldn't take a Pac-Man game now and put it on your iPhone.
Well, I don't know, because he's had a bit of resurgence, hasn't he? Because it was the was it the 40th anniversary?
Yeah, I think it's just
it's got to be around that kind of age. If you said that handheld came out in 1979, then Pac-Man must have come out a few years before that in the arcade. So yeah, it must be around 40 years ago now. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, he's made a bit of a comeback. He's got a cartoon that I've seen on Disney XD, which is quite funny because I've yet to see in my lifetime a Pac-Man cartoon that's actually any good. I don't know if you remember the Pac-Man cartoon in the 80s.
Yeah, on Good Morning Britain.
Yeah, but that was pretty crap as well. And this one, although it looks better, it's actually just as lame. Yeah. But
now, I mean, at this point, you haven't even been born.
No, I was still in someone's testicles.
Yeah, you were still in a ball sack. So then, when we used to go to my nan and granddad's, my granddad had Astro Wars.
Oh, so you sent a picture of this as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which it's got like a dome screen or something.
Yeah, it was. You had to look into. It was like a magnifying bevelly type screen. It wasn't just a flat screen, so it made the screen was set right back at the back of that console, so inside, away, and it used to make it sort of floaty type, sort of inside the box, and it was basically a Space Invaders clone. But I do seem to remember every so often you had to land the craft back on top of the base or something. I can't remember. I did mean to go onto YouTube to look at all these, but
well, that would take preparation, wouldn't it? So
yeah, and planning.
Yeah.
But again, if Grandad was at work, you could sit in his chair and have a little sneaky go. And when you think about it, your granddad, roll as your cap, granddad, sitting there playing a games console, basically. He must have been. They come out in 82, so he died in 2001. I think he was about 73. So he was only. Oh my God, how old was he in 82? 40s, in his 40s.
Right.
But I'm in my 40s now. That just burns your head out, doesn't it?
Mm.
So, yeah, so that was the next one. And then basically you're about to burst out the ball sack. Now, you must have had a Game & Watch.
Well, I was trying to think back to my first experience with, because unusually, I think I may have mentioned this last time, that I was around a proper computer at a young age, so we had a Commodore 64. So I was always aware of games, but I never really had anything handheld. And I think the first thing I had that was handheld was a Game and Watch.
Yeah.
So not an actual gaming watch. But
No, a Game and Watch.
Yeah. And I had. I'm trying to find the one. There's loads. There's so many that came out. It was an orange one, and it folded. It was
Donkey
screen.
Donkey Kong.
No. It was one where you had to rescue a princess, and you was like a knight, or you had a sword. It wasn't Zelda, but it was that kind of thing. And you had to climb up through the screen and get to the top, and then you had to fight some people with your sword, and defend a little bit, and then you could rescue her. So it was about rescuing a princess. But yeah, I loved that thing. I used to play it for ages. And then before I got my first proper console, so this must have been around late 80s, early 90s. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was my 7th birthday, which would be 1990. I got a Tomy-Vision. Now, I don't remember what Tomy-Vision was, but a Tomy-Vision was like a binocular, like binoculars.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was called Tomytronic. I just looked it up. It's called Tomytronic 3D. So it looked like a pair of binoculars, and you stared into this unit, and it looks a little bit like it was in 3D.
Yeah.
And it was a game where there was a shark attack. That was probably the title of it as well. They were never very inventive in those days. And it was like a shark was trying to attack you, and you had to make your little diver move out of the way, and you could attack the shark as well to get it to leave you alone. And that was pretty cool. But my first actual video game handheld console, and so actually my first ever console of any type, was Christmas 1992, the Sega Game Gear.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I had friends at that time, because I think it was 89 was when the Game Boy came out, Nintendo Game Boy, and everyone seemed to be having them at school, and I never did. And then around 91, I think, they launched the Lynx, which was the Atari one. And I mean, really, we could be looking at this up to know for sure, but I can't be asked to actually do any proper research like you. But I think it was around 91, and the Game Gear was the last one of the big three to release a handheld, because Atari was still kind of relevant at that time, early 90s. But the Game Gear come out, and it was amazing. Colour graphics, the technology was more advanced than a Master System, but not as powerful as a Mega Drive, so it was kind of in between. And it was just brilliant. And I remember getting it for that Christmas, and it came with, I don't think it came with a game actually at the time, but I got bought Mickey Mouse and the Castle of Illusion.
All right, okay.
Which was like a Mario knockoff, in that you played Mickey Mouse trying to get to fight a wizard. And you know what? I don't think I ever completed it, but I played it for hours. And then I've got Sonic the Hedgehog and Streets of Rage. They started making
Streets of Rage.
I mean, the thing is, they weren't as good on the Game Gear as they were on the proper consoles. But if you didn't have the consoles, then it was the next best thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And that machine was great, but they bought it. I remember they bought it with a power adapter, and they made me open the power adapter first, so you could plug it into the wall and play it. Because with batteries on a Game Gear, you'd probably get about 2 or 3 hours out of a set of batteries.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it took either 4 or 6 batteries.
6 batteries.
Yeah. So
seem to remember.
Yeah. So I mean, you would go through, and batteries weren't cheap. So you go through batteries in no time. So they bought me a power adapter so I could just have it plugged into the wall. Defeats the handheld a little bit because you can't walk around too much with it, but you didn't care. You just wanted to play the games. So.
Do you remember Columns?
I do remember Columns because that was the rival to Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I made a mistake. They like, when I got a Game Gear, it wasn't bundled in. With a Game Boy, everyone got Tetris.
Yeah, definitely. I always rebelled against, like I said on that show, I would always pick the wrong console. You know, so Sega Saturn instead of PlayStation, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a Sega Game Gear, and although it was a pretty substantial machine, it wasn't a Game Boy.
But you know what? I mean, because I said, like, I had friends that had Game Boys, so every now and again I'd get to play games on there. And whilst it had probably cooler titles, like I remember played like Super Mario Land, but I also played things like Home Alone. They made a video game of Home Alone. That seemed quite good at the time. Double Dragon was on there. Although it had some of the bigger titles, they weren't nowhere near as good as the Game Gear. The Game Gear was more powerful, so the games were actually better. So it's, Tetris was fun, but I mean, if you look at it now, I mean, it is very much of its time. It's very basic. Whilst you play Columns, and that still looks, reasonably good. There's only a couple of years between them. So the Game Gear was a pretty powerful machine, and it wasn't a fly in the night. I mean, the Game Gear survived until must be around 95, 96. I could still buy games for it.
And everyone got the TV adapter.
Yeah.
Which was nearly £100, I seem to remember.
Yeah, it's got to be around there. I want to say £75, but I also know that £75 was what Street Fighter cost on the Super Nintendo when that came out. So yeah, I don't know. I might be wrong, but yeah, it was definitely over the £70 mark. TV tuner.
No, I used to work in the booking offices back then. Aintree booking office across the road from the Grand National racecourse, and we weren't allowed televisions. You weren't even allowed radios in '93, but you weren't allowed televisions. But to have a Sega Game Gear, you could literally be sitting away from the passengers, away from the window, away from the management walking in and catching you, sitting there watching telly on a 2-inch screen.
Yep.
But you had to stand on one leg to get a decent picture.
Oh, you was spinning that aerial around.
Yeah.
All angles. I remember. So I, to give you the idea of how long after this was, it was the year 2000. Channel 4 had just started showing wrestling. It was really bizarre because I didn't watch wrestling at the time. I used to, and I fell out of love with it. And then in the early 2000s, Channel 4 randomly started showing WWF, and they kind of bought some of the rights away from Sky, and they would show as part of that deal 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year. So they used to always be on Sky, but they would show them on Channel 4 live. And because of the time difference of America, pay-per-views are normally about 1 o'clock in the morning. And we were going, I think we was going to Norway the next day. And my parents said to me, 16-year-old me, you can't
put that away.
Can't put the you can't watch that show tonight. You've got to go to sleep. Don't try and put it on your telly because we'll know. Unfortunately, your TV shut like the flashes of TV come under your door, so we'll know. So don't try and watch it. Like, okay, fine. So what do? Got the Game Gear out.
Eesh.
TV tuner, Channel 4. Yes, thank you, please. So even in the year 2000, it still worked. So it's funny, actually, you think about it, it probably wouldn't work anymore.
No, analog.
Yeah. Don't even think about it just then. Those were the days. But that actually brings me up talking about the Game Gear. What was your favourite game on the Game Gear then? Before I go on to the next point.
I played, on the Game Gear, I think it would just still have to be Sonic.
Okay.
Or Streets of Rage.
Mm-hmm.
Although many hours were spent on Columns as well.
I think my favourite was probably NBA Jam. I got proper into NBA Jam. Really, really did.
I can't remember. If you're saying NBA Jam, then there must have been a FIFA game on there.
There might have been a FIFA game on there, but I reckon, because I think the first FIFA, so I had it on the Amiga. I think the FIFA game was either 93 or 94.
Yeah.
So, you know, Game Gear started to slow down stuff around 95. So they may have squeezed the FIFA game out, but maybe not. There was a golf game on there as well that I used to quite like. It was like a mini golf game of some kind, not like PGA golf, but like one of these more fun ones. Yeah, almost like crazy golf. I mean, like pitch and putt or something. But
so, did you ever succumb to a Game Boy?
No, but before we okay, I'll come back to that in a second. Before I do, I wanted to read this out because I almost got the R-Tune music ready for this when I read it earlier. Because you posted the pictures on the group about what we're going to be talking about, and we had a few comments. And Alex Treen, long time listener, said that he knew regarding the Game Gear. I knew I was getting one of these for Christmas sometime in the 90s, and I woke up at 5, went downstairs, opened it up, took it back to bed, and played it all day. It lasted about 6 months until my younger brother threw it against the wall.
Oh, I'd have beat him to death with the remains.
Oh, absolutely. Cut him up.
I 8 younger brothers. Evil little bastards.
Well, I've got to be honest, I was quite lucky because my younger brother's an absolute genius. He's got no common sense, but he's a genius. He was actually the Oscar announcer or the poddy announcer on Dis After Dark the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did that. My sister-in-law did the American... See, what I did was she was called Woman Beatty.
I like that, yeah.
Warren Beatty. And she does a very good American accent because she's American. So going back to your point, Game Boy. I never had the Game Boy.
The original, the Game Boy.
Yeah, my brother had
Game
Boy Color, which was.
I'll just throw out there dead quick. My Game & Watch was Donkey Kong Jr. Green.
Oh, wow.
Majestic.
I had a friend that he thought he was the bee's knees. He came into school with a Super Mario Bros. 3 watch.
Yeah.
Game & Watch. Because that was really popular at the time. But the watch version was crap. I remember the Donkey Kong game being pretty good on the Game & Watch. Because it was quite a simple game. But that Mario thing was rubbish. Yeah, so he had a I think it was called a Pocket Color or something, but it wasn't a color. It wasn't a proper color screen like a Game Gear, but it was a colored Game Boy and it was slightly thinner.
Yeah, didn't he just like colorize the screen? But it was all just like one color or something.
Yeah, it wasn't. You said it wasn't full color like the Game Gear was, but it had more color than the original one. And he got that around the time Pokemon first came out.
Well, do you remember the Game Boy Color?
Yeah.
That was our first one.
Right, okay.
So, the games I was playing then was the Pokemons, which were particularly brilliant on there. Although you could play it still on the original Game Boy, but with no colour, obviously. Zelda, whatever Zelda it was. And I don't think now I've got the patience to sit there and sit for 3 hours playing a Zelda game. I don't think you've got the time anymore, but...
It's quite funny because so my son's called Lincoln, and when I was looking at names to call him, the reason why he's called Lincoln, it's got nothing to do with games actually, but he's an amalgamation of my name and my wife's name. That's how we got Lincoln, right? And to shorten it down, because the other thing as well, when you pick a name for your child, you have to worry about what the shortening will be as well sometimes, especially if it's a bit of an unusual name. So shortening it down would be Link. which is of course the main character in a Zelda game. But the wife approved of his name, but doesn't like Link. So I've not got away with that one. By the way, Wendy Pratt has just contacted us with Mattel Electronic Football.
Oh.
Which I don't think we ever got in this country because we never kind of really got American football games. But I don't even know how you'd play it. That looks bizarre. But I'd love to see how that was played.
Where's Wendy Pratt's post? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, just now.
The beautiful Wendy Pratt.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, Brian, we haven't talked because I think we're going to bypass this time period. But Brian Rose sent a picture in of a Lion King LCD game. Now, LCD games were every bloody where in the early 90s, weren't they? I mean, I literally, you'd go into like a Toys R Us and you'd see a wall of like Tiger handheld games, and they would make them about everything.
Yeah.
If you were something that was popular, if you was part of pop culture in the late 80s and early 90s, you would have a Tiger electronic handheld game, and if you didn't have one, you weren't cool.
Oh, definitely, without a shadow.
And he's got a picture of the Lion King, which I never had the Lion King. I had
One King.
My friend had a Turtles one, Ninja Turtles, and oh god, what was the one I had?
They're basically just Game & Watches, aren't they?
They were glorified Game & Watches. The graphics were a bit better. They looked a bit more like the proper characters, but yeah, very simple gameplay.
Colorized the screen backgrounds rather than the LCD.
Yeah, that's it.
Have you seen what Wendy's put on as well? The Speak and Spell.
Speak and Spell. I never had a Speak and Spell, but E.T. did.
I had a Speak and Spell, and I had a Speak and Matt.
Oh.
He was grey.
Oh.
Now, again, there's so many of these little things. Why aren't the apps?
Yeah.
Why hasn't Texas Instruments, whoever owns the copyright or whatever, not just put a Speak and Spell app out in the App Store?
I think I'm pretty sure they tried to do a new version. So recently, I don't know if I sent you the picture actually, but there was they've relaunched Stretch Armstrong.
Oof.
And so he's made a comeback. So
but I bet he's got no cancer-forming toxins in him, has he?
Well, no, of course he's boring now.
Shit, no.
but yeah, so that was, these things make a bit of a comeback. Evil Knievel Stunt Cycle made a comeback recently as well. So I reckon that they have tried to relaunch Speak and Spell, but I know what you mean about why they've not just tried to do it as a
well, imagine the Game & Watch, like you said, there was thousands of them. We'll just put a Game & Watch app out.
Well, Nintendo did that with the Game Boy Advance.
Did they?
Yeah, they released a load of them on
they did, yeah. And they did updated versions of the games.
Yep.
So you had the original version. Yeah, we had it. On the Game Boy Advance, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you've just uncorked the memory out my head.
But that's 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So, I'll tell you what, I've just found the list. It's not a complete list. I know it's not a complete list because mine's not on there. But 184 Tiger handheld games, right? These are some of the ones, right? The A-Team. I'll just talk about like more the biggies, like the big franchises. The A-Team, Aladdin, Altered Beast. Might be Altered Beast we had actually. Batman Returns, Batman the Animated Series, Beavis and Butthead, Beetlejuice, Captain Planet, Castlevania, Double Dragon, Mickey Mouse had one, Looney Tunes, King Kong, Jurassic Park. Oh, Jurassic Park. That was it. It was Jurassic Park. I'm such an idiot. Golden Axe, friends had that one. Parent Duke Nukem 3D, NBA Jam, Nightmare Before Christmas, Outrun, Paperboy 1 and 2, Police Academy, Power
Paperboy.
Rangers, The Shadow, if you've ever seen that film, Shack Attack, Monster Jam, The Simpsons, Smurfs, X-Men, WWF Superstars, VR Troopers, Power Rangers, Terminator, Tasmania, Street Fighter, that must have been absolutely shit, Space Jam, Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, that's, if you was a big franchise, there was a game for you. Yeah, of course it was Jurassic Park. How can I bloody forget that? But yeah, just amazing. But there's another article searching. I had almost forgotten how crappy Tiger LCD games were. I imagine they are. Like, if you try to play one now, it's a joke. But yeah,
I don't think you could do it now. I don't think you just waste your time.
There's no point. I mean, the thing is, everything's so far advanced now that you wouldn't make a game like that. There'd be no purpose. It'd probably cost more money than it would do to make a more simple game on an Android or iPhone, to be honest.
Well, I mean, the likes of Temple Run is basically a game and watch game, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's a glorified game and watch, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But just absolutely bizarre. So, do you remember the I don't even know what it was called. It was the Game Boy, but it used to fold. It was a square, and it would fold in half.
Well.
Have a look at the pictures I've posted on the Facebook group. I've posted a pink one there. Now, you used to charge this. It had a built-in battery.
Oh, I think that was called a Game Boy. Was that the Game Boy Pocket?
I can't remember.
Know. I never had one of those. But yes, no, I remember the ones, and I remember what you're talking about now. I actually, you know what, before we came on with the future Game Boys, how do we miss out probably the greatest handheld of all time that no one owned? The Barcode Battler.
No, never heard of it.
Mate, I remember that the Christmas that Game Gear was like the big thing, this thing called a Barcode Battler. And what it was, had a really crappy screen, and the idea was that you scanned barcodes, and it would give you like your warrior magical powers.
Oh, right, okay.
So the idea was that you went in the kitchen, you cut the barcodes off of all the packets of everything, so they poured out on the floor, but you'd get a barcode that might give you like a power up. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so that, looking at the cartridge there on that pink Game Boy, that looks like a Game Boy Advance cartridge. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was the Game Boy Advance, but a flip version. Because I had that smoky grey one. That was the Game Boy Advance, and that was the first Game Boy I owned.
Yeah, we had one of them.
And that was pretty good, actually.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
and
I go into that.
You know, we've had the 3DS, we've had the DSs.
Yeah, I had a DS.
The worst thing you could do with the DS is get one of the pirate M4 chips cartridges with 500 games on it, because you play nothing. you try everything once and then you play nothing. Right.
Okay.
You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I deeply regret. I love my 3DS, and again sold it on too quick.
I haven't got. I wanted a 3DS, and when it came out, I was worried it was going to be a bit gimmicky, so I didn't actually buy one. But I've always regretted it because I thought the 3D worked really well.
Oh, 3D's phenomenal on it.
That's the thing is, that is what the next generation of TVs is going to be. So I was watching a thing the other day with Jim Cameron, because they're re-releasing Terminator 2 this summer in 3D. Yeah.
In the pictures?
In the pictures, yeah. It comes out in August, yeah. And it had its world premiere at the Berlin Film Festival the other week, so he did a bit of a Q&A around Terminator 2, not really around Avatar or anything like that. It was mainly on Terminator 2. And they talked about 3D in the home, because 3D TVs are basically dead now. You can't really go and buy a 3D TV anymore.
What? How's that possible?
Well, it's quite easy, really, because if you think of, like, if you go back to when 3D launched in the home, so just after, like, around Avatar time, BBC were trying to do 3D stuff, Sky were trying to do 3D stuff. In America, ESPN had launched a 3D channel, and what they thought was going to happen was that they'd launch this 3D stuff, everybody would go out and buy a brand new TV. Now, at that time, it wasn't that long after, we're talking maybe 2 or 3 years until, before 3D TVs came out, that high definition TVs really came down in price.
Yeah.
Because they were expensive for a long time. To get a flat screen TV was still expensive. And so I remember we'd gone out and bought, just before, when 3D TVs first launched, we went out and bought our first flat screen TV. And I think we dropped about 500 notes on it for a Sony one. It was quite decent. It was only a 37 inch or something. So it wasn't too small. But it cost us 500 notes because 3D TVs had just launched and they were like 1,200 quid.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we can't justify that. We would like one, but it was just too much money. And there wasn't enough content. And they thought that everyone was going to go out and buy a brand new TV because it had 3D. And the fact is, when you're spending like hundreds of pounds on a TV, you don't go and replace it. Most people don't go and replace it because there's a new technology out. It's too much money. So people didn't buy 3D TVs. They were only buying them as and when they had to replace their TVs. So we did buy. Our Sony one was, it was good when we first bought it, but it started to look a little bit dated. We wanted to get a bigger telly. We liked 3D at the cinema, so we bought a 3D TV because at that time they'd come down in price quite a lot. But that's when everything started to die off, because if you wanted to watch 3D on Sky, you had to buy the biggest package. You had to spend like 80 quid a month to get the access to 3D.
Yeah.
So it didn't make it affordable. They obviously, I know what they're doing. They're trying to recuperate their costs for, investing in all this 3D equipment and cameras and all this stuff. But it was too expensive. So the only stuff we watched in 3D was any 3D Blu-rays that we bought. And you can still buy 3D Blu-rays. I'm buying Star Wars in a couple of weeks. Or, 6 weeks when it comes out. And I will, if there's a 3D version of a film that I want, I'll buy that on Blu-ray because you'll get to watch it in 3D or 2D. But it's kind of like a gimmick. And he was talking about this, and he said, because you can still buy 3D projectors. So if you wanted to buy a projector rather than telly, you can still do that, but you can't really buy a 3D TV. And he said the problem is that it kind of crossed. So they started producing all this 3D stuff when people didn't have the TVs. By the time people started to really buy the TVs, they'd thought it's not going to take off, so they stopped doing what they were doing. And people also don't like sitting there having to wear glasses for a long period of time. It's different if you've got to wear glasses, but even if you do, if you wear glasses at home, you've then got to stick another pair of glasses on top of your head over those ones. And you can't do it for a long... I like a 3D film, but I'm not going to sit there and watch 2 3D things back to back. It's not the easiest or best thing to do. So now they've got a technology where they're basically taking what they do with a 3DS and they can now do that in a bigger screen. And that technology is starting to take off in Japan.
But with the 3DS, you have to be lined up perfectly to that screen.
In a sweet spot.
In the sweet spot.
So these TVs now that have this technology, they have got a much bigger range than a 3DS.
Yeah.
But, at the moment, you still have to be in that sweet spot. And as they kind of work and develop these things, then it will. And so it will probably be about another 5, maybe 10 years, but 3D will be back in the home again. But it will be in this new version where you don't need glasses. And that will probably also be what they do with cinemas as well. Once they've perfected that technology, then they'll be able to do it wherever. So, I think it will come back, but it'll be a while. But yeah, I'm excited to go and see Terminator 2 in 3D. Love Terminator 2.
Oh, I love Terminator 2.
But yeah, so 3DS was, it's still reasonably popular, isn't it? They still sell quite a lot of games for it.
I think so, but I don't think any handheld consoles, are popular anymore.
Well, no, because I mean, even so I had a PSP.
Yeah, I had a PSP.
And
My reason for the PSP was not the games as such, but it was the memory stick and the fact that I could get a 2 gig memory stick and put it in there, or a 32 gig memory stick I think I had. And I had, at the time, 8 seasons of Family Guy ripped and put onto the memory stick, and I could sit and watch Family Guy in bed on my PSP.
Well, I loved it because I was lucky in when we were younger, we had loads of money. We would kind of go all out at Christmas and buy ourselves quite expensive stuff. And the year that the PSP came out, it only came out in black.
Yeah.
But in Japan, you could get it in black or white, and I think there might have been another colour as well, like a red or something. But you could only get them in Japan. And my wife knew that I really liked the look of the white one and imported one over for me. No. Probably another, 50, 100 quid more than one would have cost her going into like a UK high street. So I felt very lucky, and I used to commute into London at that time every day. And I worked in TV, so it'd be a long train journey as well. So I used to love it, and the games were so good for it. The thing is, the PSP when it came out was like playing a PlayStation 2, but in your hand.
Yeah.
The graphics were that good, the games were that good. It was just on a smaller screen. That was it. And I think the first time we went to, it would be the first time we went to Disney World, and we went into Virgin Megastore at the Village, Downtown Disney, and I came away with a load of games. They had like a sale on at that time, and because it was like a multi-regional console, I managed to get games that I couldn't get in the UK and dirt cheap. And I remember I came home with like Def Jam Vendetta, which was like it was like a wrestling game but with rappers. Which doesn't make it sound good, but it was bloody brilliant. Anyone that played it will tell you. The Warriors, I came back with. NFL Street, which was like a lot more fun than playing like John Madden, because it was all over the top. I think a FIFA Street game as well. Just so much. I've got like about 6 or 7 games for like $50.
And have you still got a PSP?
Funny enough, I do. And so I had the PSP and I found it a few months ago. I was really excited until I realised that all my games were at my parents' house. Oh. And then I got a phone about 2 months after that from my brother, and he said, we've got a bag of your stuff that your parents brought over. Do you still have your PSP? And I went, yeah. And I've got a bag of PSP games. I was like, yeah. So I've got most of them. There's still a few that are missing. So I'm missing Outrun 2, which was phenomenal. But I got the Warriors back and Def Jam, and so I've got quite a few of the games that I enjoyed the most back.
What's the Warriors? Is that side-scrolling?
It was a bit more than side-scrolling. It was, I suppose, a little bit like, a bit like Streets of Rage, that kind of thing, but it was more interactive than like, it was, I'll tell you what, it was almost like, it's more like Grand Theft Auto.
All right. Okay.
But instead of like being able, you didn't steal cars and that, but you'd walk around the streets and pick fights with gangs and stuff like that, based obviously on the film. But yeah, that's really good actually, the Warriors. Yeah. So that's one that I've still got. I also that same holiday we bought a DS. That's when we bought DSs, because again, I think the exchange rate that year was like $2 to the pound.
Yeah, there was a year like that. Yeah.
And so like that meant that we paid like $150 or something for a Nintendo DS, which was half the price that we could have got in the UK. So we both ended up getting one, and I did like it. I mean, it was the time that Brain Training came out. Do you remember Brain Training? Yeah. And Ace Attorney as well. But although it was good, it wasn't as good as the PSP. And actually, we're recording this show today the very day, at midnight of this day, that the Nintendo Switch comes out.
Oh, Lord, synergy! We need to get this show out.
Yeah, and that's kind of a hybrid, isn't it? Because it's a handheld, but also you can play it on your TV.
It's so groundbreaking. It's going to be a flop.
Yeah. Well, but then we said that, I remember looking at the Wii and thinking that's never going to take off, and then spending 6 months trying to buy the bloody thing because I didn't pre-order one.
Yeah, but do you remember the GameCube?
I've still got a GameCube. I don't have access to it, but I've still got one.
Now that was a massive flop.
The
N64.
Yeah, I love my N64 though, and I've still got that. Oh, come on, GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64,
Gold,
64.
Yeah. Definitely. Zelda. Remember Zelda?
Yeah. What was the Zelda on that one? Was it Ocarina of Time?
I think so.
And there was Majora's Mask or something. I had Ocarina of Time, but it was epic.
Has anything on this Switch made you think I've got to have one of them?
No, because before I look at anything that makes me think that, I look at how much it costs.
Yeah.
And it's almost £300.
Which is a sizable amount of money, but in the world of consoles, that's relatively cheap for a brand new console coming out.
It doesn't matter because it's a console coming out that's less powerful and does less than a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
And you need to get any sort of gaming pleasure out of it, you need to buy the add-ons.
And that's the same with when the Wii came out. All the games you could play obviously with the little remote, but to play a lot of them really well, you'd have to buy the controller.
Yeah.
That you plug in. So, it was a good gimmick. And I like my Wii, and there were some good games for it, but at the same time, it was also a bit of a chore sometimes. The good thing about the Wii is that anyone that come around could play bowling. It didn't matter how old you are, you could all sit there playing bowling.
Yeah.
And Granny could play it, little kids could play it, but yeah.
And it's the same old. The launch games for any new Nintendo console are generally pants.
Well, I think Zelda's coming out as a launch game, isn't it?
Well, it'll be the worst Zelda ever then.
It looks really good. It does look really good. I mean, that's the thing. The games on it that I've seen look really good. There's a new Mario Kart. There's Zelda. There's a new Mario. Although it's one of the 3D Mario games, so like Mario Sunshine or.
Is there not an argument, right? We're both sitting here now with iPhone 7s within touching distance. Your general cycle for upgrading your phone is 2 years. Some people can get 3 years, 4 years, but generally it's 2 years, and that's because of your phone contract.
Mm-hmm.
Is there not an argument now for the likes of Nintendo to just go virtual and stop producing consoles?
This will be, if this doesn't do Wii-like numbers, and the jury's out on that, because the Wii U, everyone was expected to do well and it flopped. So if this doesn't do numbers like the original Wii did, then this will be, I'm calling it now, the last proper big console that Nintendo do. They might continue on with handhelds, but they will do what Sega did, and they will disappear as a console manufacturer, and they will just make games for systems. Now, there's also talk that Sony might not do another console after PlayStation 4.
What?
Yeah, they've turned around and said, because the argument with them and Microsoft actually as well has been that they reckon they don't make money on the consoles. They just make money on the games. The console's almost like a lost leader. Which I don't really buy into, to be honest.
No, I think they're talking shite there.
But the thing is, and I don't know what the Switch is going to be like for that, but the PlayStation, both the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 were in the front room. My PlayStation 4 now sits below my digital TV box, above my sound system. That is what we use to play our Blu-rays, free Blu-rays, Now TV, Netflix, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That is an entertainment hub. It doesn't just play games. And so if you're laying 300 quid down on a console, or however much you're laying down, it better do more than just play a bloody game.
And can't you, with a PlayStation 4, can't you buy a little telly box type thing that you put in your bedroom?
Well, they've discontinued it because I'm trying to buy one and they've really shot up in price. I could have bought one before Christmas for like 20 quid and now I'm looking at double that. But yeah, they had a thing called a PlayStation TV, which you could play it, the console would be in one room and you could play it on another TV using a controller in another room. I'm a bit gutted about that. But
and what's that called?
That's called PlayStation TV. But I don't know if they're going to come up with a new version of that because there's obviously a reason why it's been discontinued, but I don't know what that is. But yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, like, I'd like to think that we keep getting stuff like this because, I love playing games. I love having something that I can have in the front room that can be used for everybody for different purposes. And I get to game on it when people aren't here to annoy me.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's going off on handhelds a little bit, talking about PlayStations and Xboxes. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I don't think. I mean, I never got the PlayStation Vita because that looked just like the PSP. It just looked like a bit of an upgraded PSP. But
I think, how old are you?
Coming up to 34.
Yeah, that's why. You just haven't got the time. You've got a family.
That's it. The thing is, like, so for me to play, I'm not allowed to play Uncharted now because Alice is aware of what guns and violence is, and she'll tell Mummy if I'm playing it when she's not there. And so most of my gaming happens late at night.
Yeah.
Even if I get a chance to. I mean, like I said last night, I was up till 3:30. Wasn't up till 3:30 playing games. That would have been me 10 years ago. I was up till 3:30 last night working.
Yeah.
So my time to play games now is just blighted really by life.
My days off, especially if I was a day off on a Friday when my best mate used to finish, Stuart, used to finish in Candy, his factory, half day. I would get over to his house for 12 o'clock and we would game until the girls come in from work until like 6, 7 o'clock. Mm. And if we had a day off together, I would drop her off at work. I would get over to his house for 9 o'clock in the morning and we would game for 12 hours.
Oh, when I was at college, it was GoldenEye sessions, GoldenEye Mario Kart sessions on the N64 because you could play 4-player. And get drunk, get a bit other stuff, and just do that for hours. After college, it was then PlayStation 2. We used to play a lot of that, wrestling games mainly, and then this was about the same time as the Dreamcast, and I remember one night I had everyone over for, I think my folks went on holiday and I stayed at home, and we had a virtual tennis tournament. And what was the racing game? There's a racing game we did as well, and it was just like like last man standing kind of thing. And Virtual Striker as well. I think it was. What was that? Was that the Sega one? Virtual Striker. What was it? The football one that they did.
Yeah, on the Sega Saturn.
No, on the Dreamcast. It was in the arcades as well.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it must have been Virtual Soccer because they had Virtual Tennis. But
me and Stuart bought Command and Conquer Red Alert, which
comes on
2 discs, and PlayStation 1. He had one, I had one. We connected them with the cable.
Yep, the link cable.
And we set up 2 tellies, and the girls went to bed, and we sat up all night.
Yep.
And Michelle come down the next morning and went straight to work. And we were still playing when Kerry got up. And then I wasn't allowed. There was Easter. I think it was Easter or August bank holiday. I had to stay up and go home with her in the doghouse. But now you drop the kids off school 7:30. You're back. If you're lucky enough to be off work, you've got the ironing to do. You've got the washing to do. You've got the housework to do. Yep. You just sit down about 2:00. You've got half an hour. Shut your eyes for 10 minutes, and then you're up and you're back on the school run.
That's it. Well, I've got that to come. I mean, I'm not there now, but the stuff outside of the school runs, the ironing and everything like that, and also my hobby at the moment, instead of gaming, is trying to write a book, and that's hard. So sometimes I think, I'd like to play a game now, or I'd like to watch a film. But instead, it's like, really, I should just try and do a bit of writing because I want to try and get a book done. So there's just not enough hours in a day anymore. It really isn't, and it sucks. So yeah, that's what happens when you get grown up kids. So if you're under 34 and you listen to this podcast, this is what will happen to you.
Yeah.
If you play a lot of video games now, enjoy it because you won't for much longer. That'll be taken away from you. Long gone are the days that when we used to live in a 2-bed flat and we didn't have any kids, the second bedroom was our kind of where we used to put our ornamental things, and I used to have my computer set up there and my Xbox with a little TV, and she could be in there watching Desperate Housewives in the living room. I'd be next door playing Call of Duty Online or Prince of Persia or something like that. And I mean, once she scared me playing Dead Space. You ever played Dead Space?
No.
Horrible game. It's like a first-person shoot 'em up, but you're on a spaceship or space station that's been attacked, and you get these nasty kind of alien things. It's quite scary. It's a bit like an alien film, like being in an alien film. It was quite scary, and she was next door watching TV. I had my headphones on, immersed in the game, and she came in and went boo, and I jumped out of my skin, and I've really shouted at her because she'd scared me that much because of the game. I brought her into tears. Just because, like, she didn't expect me. I wasn't rude or violent or anything like that, but because my reaction was so extreme at being scared, I then upset her because I was shouting at her. And then, so, like, the joke kind of backfired, and I had to calm her down. We had a laugh about it afterwards. But I said, like, well, you won't do that again.
Oh, bless.
Well, don't scare me playing a scary game. That's,
just before we wind it up, Steve Milson Payne he's one of our good time listeners, long time listener.
Yep.
He had a Galaxy Invader 1000 in yellow. He also had Astro Wars, Game & Watch Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, then Game Boy come into his world with the attachments for the light and the magnifying screen. He had them.
God, yeah, my brother had that. Yeah.
Now he's got a 3DS and, of course, a smartphone, and he's just thinking about the Switch. I wouldn't waste your money, mate. Tracy Malaby, I've heard that name somewhere before.
Yeah. Didn't her husband annoyingly interrupt my winning speech the other day?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Tracy's the beautiful one of the relationship with a full head of hair.
Well, it's not hard, is it? Let's be honest. Talk about a real life Beauty and the Beast.
We had Astro Wars, and her brother still has it. But I think our first handheld was a Nintendo game where you had to catch paratroopers in a boat, or the sharks ate them.
Yep, I remember that.
Now she just plays on an old DS, a phone, or a tablet. And the Game & Watch game was called Parachute.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of them had really simple names, actually. It's quite strange why they were so... I'm not sure why they were so simple. There was one called Fire, and I can already guess what that one was about, to be honest. But, yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad people joined in. I love it when people join into our things.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you very much for your contributions.
I've now got to go and watch 30 James Bond films before we record again next month.
Oh, man. I will not be doing that much research. I'll probably just watch Living Daylights and License to Kill again.
Oh, the Living Daylights.
Tell you what, that's another... I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it more on that show. But, I mean, how many decent Bond songs are there? Like, so last night, so as I said, I was working till late in the night. And I'm on my computer, doing a load of admin. The irony is that my boss told me today that I shouldn't be working so late. But I have to work that late because there's that much work to do. Anyway, I'm listening to Magic FM.
Yeah.
Right, now you get Magic up north, don't you?
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, after about midnight, it's normally mellow Magic, right? So about 1 o'clock in the morning, dun, 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 and it's Duran Duran, View to a Kill.
Oh, I love that song.
Which is a great song, but I can't really say it was mellow Magic. But do you know what I mean? That song is brilliant, and I think it must be about 8 years ago now. We went to a festival in London called Lovebox, and Duran Duran were the headliners on one of the days, and they were phenomenal even then. And Mark Ronson came out. They had a bit like he came out with a small orchestra of about 10 people, and they started playing the James Bond theme.
Yeah.
He was conducting them, and then they went into View to a Kill, and it was just brilliant. Oh, such a good song. But there were so many good Bond songs, and there's a few crappy Bond songs as well. But yeah, maybe we'll focus more on that in the next show.
Yeah, we're going to have the talented Mr. Ripley come on with us.
Yeah.
I think he's an aficionado.
You know who he is as well, don't you?
He is James Bond?
No. Well, he looks like James Bond, yeah. But no, you know who's an aficionado of Bond as well, don't you?
Who?
Grandfather Boniface.
Are you out there, Mr. Boniface, anywhere?
Can you hear us?
From the afterlife.
maybe he'll even make an appearance. He did say he'll do the odd one. I'm sure if we tell him that we're doing Bond, that'll pique his interest. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. See if he's paying attention.
The James Bond collection on iTunes is £99.
I remember HMV used to do crazy sales.
Yeah.
And one night, they used to advertise what they'd be doing. And one night before the sale, my friend read the evening paper and he was like, "Dude, have you seen what they've got for like the first few people?" And they had really low prices on stuff. And he wanted like some box set. I want to say it was Springsteen, but it was probably Dylan or someone instead. And it was like £100 down to like a tenner. So he said, like, "Do you fancy like going for an all-nighter?" I was like, "Yeah, go on then." So we got the night bus into London and hung about, waiting for HMV to open and like queuing up to be first in the queue. And I ended up walking away with the Bond collection on DVD for about 15 quid.
No way.
And that was all the films up to Die Another Day, I think, or something. But yeah, and you know what? That DVD box set is at my parents', so no research from me.
Well, you've got Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, A View to a Kill, The Living Daylights, License to Kill, Goldeneye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, £100 for all of those is not bad value.
That's cracking value.
Well, it's good value. But yeah. So.
I haven't seen the last three.
What?
You've
got to do that before the next episode. So you've seen Casino Royale, yeah?
Yeah, classic.
Okay. So you could probably avoid Quantum of Solace because it is really cack.
Got to watch it though, haven't I?
Just to say you've done it, but I mean, I'm telling you now, it's crap. So just go in knowing it's crap, and you might enjoy it a little bit. To be honest, when I've watched it again only because it's come on telly, not because I've actually stuck it in the machine or anything. But I've caught a bit of it. It's not as bad as I thought initially, but after Casino Royale, it's a complete come down. I think, if I remember rightly, it got rushed out. Like they had to film it before a writer's strike was coming, or something. So like the script wasn't really up to scratch, but they had to film it. So yeah, that's the history of that. But Skyfall and I really like Spectre as well. It's not Skyfall's the best of those ones, but Spectre comes in for a bit of hate. But I really enjoyed that one as well. So yeah, definitely get those watched before the next one. They're normally on ITV2 anyway.
Is he doing any more?
They're offering him a lot of money to do some more. After Spectre, I was quite happy to let him walk into the sunset, personally. He's had some good films, but I don't know, they seem quite hot on him. You know, the rumour's been for a while now, Tom Hiddleston or Tom Hardy take over. Did you watch that Taboo?
No.
With Tom Hardy. Jesus, just him grunting for like an hour every week. It was Dolesville. So the last episode was pretty good actually, and there was a few good minutes in each episode, but as an actual show, it was it wasn't good. And I like Tom Hardy and I like the people behind the show, but yeah, it was just a Tom Hardy show, and it just wasn't written well enough. But another story for another day. That'll please the girls. I think that'll do, won't it?
Yeah, I think we'll wind up.
Yeah.
So we'll be back. Should we try and get these out for the first of every month?
Yeah, begin the first week of every month. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable assumption. Anything else will be a bonus.
We get this one out now.
Yeah.
As fast as we can.
Yep.
And then we're going to try and get the first of every month within a day or two.
Yeah. Yeah, the first few days of every month we'll try and get an episode out. I think that's a reasonable request. If people like it, of course, that is. We'll have to see if people actually bother listening.
Oh, people are listening.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we know it's not going to do dad numbers because it's a much smaller show. It's a much newer show. You know, these things take a time to build their audience. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, as long as people enjoy it, we'll keep making it. So, thank you for your contributions to those who did. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I said the next one will be about Bond. So if you want to contribute, you can contact us on the Facebook page, Pop After Dark on Twitter, disafterdark@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can contact us about any After Dark show on that email address, because the only one we'll check. Yeah, so if you want to get involved, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few weeks.
Cheers, my dears.
We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you would like to support Dis After Dark and the other After Dark Network podcasts, please visit our website at www.patreon.com/Dis After Dark. That's patreon.com/Dis After Dark. Thank you.